It's a couple minutes to get things kind of figured out, but I think I'm live. Looking forward to sharing something really fun. So I'm going to go ahead and shift my camera over. I'll kind of talk through a couple things. So I want to share with you today a really fun 3D project that I created using the Snowy Wonder. Hopefully you're not getting tired of Snowy Wonder. I'm going to grab my microphone. Not sure you've heard me up until now. It's what happens when you plug in microphones and then forget to put them on. So, little by little. So I want to share, again, my free online classes. I do these once a month. Obviously, every time I'm live, it's a free class. But this one is more involved than just one project. I always share 3 different projects, 3 different cards exactly, next Thursday at 2 p.m., my normal live time frame. And if with every order of $35 or more in my online store that will use the host code that I will post later today on my Facebook page, you can receive 2 each of those 3 fun folds. They're simple fun fold cards, all Christmas themed. You'll receive those in the mail for free from me. So you can follow along with your own supplies, but with an order you can receive those for free. So that is coming up. I have 2 more coming this year, one in October and one in November, a little bit earlier, the 4th week and the 3rd week, I believe, just to avoid some holiday stuff. So with that, reminders that our mini catalog is live. Some wonderful, wonderful seasonal products in the mini catalog. Obviously, we still have our online exclusives. Those are awesome as well. And so I just don't want to ignore that you can do that. You can order anytime on my website, justalittleink.stampinup.net. So let's start by sharing with you kind of the supplies that you are going to need. And if I haven't mentioned this, hopefully if you're on my Facebook page here, you know that I'm an independent demonstrator. I have been a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator for over 22 years. One of the best decisions I ever made. So I'm going to kind of share with you what you're going to need. You are going to want, of course, the Snowy Wonder bundle, which comes with the Snowy Wonder stamp set. I store mine in Stampin' storage cases, so I keep a magnetic plate with the coordinating dies inside my stamp case. But you'll want the bundle. You'll want the dies and the stamp set for this project. Fun stuff. So I'm going to set this kind of aside. You're also going to want some pieces of cardstock. You're going to want a number of pieces of basic white. One of them should be cut at, let me see if I can get all my notes put together here, 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, and that's so that you can stamp all of the images that you're going to need for this 3D project. I'll show you that in just a second here. You're going to want 2 pieces that are about 1 by 3 1/2, and then you're going to want another piece that is cut 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4. You're going to want 3 pieces of Pool Party. Each of those are cut at 3 1/2 by 3 1/4. And you're going to want a strip of our silver foil. And this is cut at 8 inches by 1 1/4 inches. And then you're going to want some scrap pieces, and I mean scrap, they're tiny, of soft sea foam and old olive, and that's to cut some dies. Okay, so let me tease you here with the project that we're going to put together. So much fun. I just kind of had this brainchild and put it together this last week, and I'm pleased with how it came out. So kind of what I'm referring to is a 3D snow globe, because I'm putting 3 of them together to make a Christmas ornament that will hang on your tree. So I'm hopeful that you are as excited about this as I was. So I'm going to kind of step through. I've already done some of these pieces. So you're going to run through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine using the wider snow globe. And you're going to cut 3 of those out from our 3 1/4 by 3 1/2 inch pieces of Pool Party. I'm trying real hard to slow down. So I've already done that. You're also going to, out of that silver foil, you're going to die cut 3 of the bases for the snow globe. Okay, I'm going to cut those through, and I've already done that. So I'm going to grab those pieces so that you can see what I've already cut. So you're going to have 3 snow globes cut. And I've got other things I wanted to share, so I didn't want to spend a ton of time sharing how you cut things out of this machine. So those are going to get assembled here in a moment. Out of this piece of basic white, which I told you was 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, you are going to then stamp, and I keep one of the sheets that comes in the stamp set. Because I keep the magnetic sheet on this side, I find if I keep one of the little cover pieces from the photopolymer stamps, it keeps it from sticking to the other side. So that's why I do that. But since we're going to be using this stamp set, I'm going to go ahead and pull that off and just set it aside. So you see it even sticks on here. So I'll set that just kind of out of the way. And I'm only going to stamp a couple things because I want to share just a couple of my tips. Hopefully you can see enough of what I've got going on here. Let me get my camera just a little bit further down. I'm going to go ahead and get my, I believe this is the D block on the snowman. There's a couple things I want to kind of share. You want a piece of scrap paper, set that aside. And I'm going to pull out basic gray. So I'm going to use some basic gray to stamp the snowman. And I kind of have my reasons behind that. I'm going to ink it up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and close the stamp pad. I am going to grab my blender pen. I have dual tips, non-inked. There's no ink color, but I'm going to use it to remove ink. So I'm going to pull it there and grab my scratch paper here just to kind of share with you what I'm doing. I'm coming on this little section of the snowman's arms, and I'm going to kind of grab off the color. So I'm pulling it off, and then I'm wiping it so that I know there's no color left on there. And I'm going to do the same thing on his other arm because he should have twig arms. And it's a little hard to get one color, so this is what I'm doing. So now that I've got those removed, I've got my Pecan Pie Stampin' Right marker. Now our Stampin' Right markers are sold in sets except for our basic black. And so this is in the neutrals line, and I'm going to use the brush tip to just grab on that side of where his arm comes and then drag it up. And I'm going to come and just get just a teeny bit right on the top there. All right. And then I'm going to breathe on it because it's been a few seconds since I stamped there. And I'm going to stamp my snowman so you can see that the snowman then gets stamped so that he's got twig arms that are actually twig color. Now, I also am going to grab, you could use your Stampin' Write marker, or you could use our Stampin' Blends. This is the dark of our Stampin' Blends pumpkin pie. They come in a set of two, a light and a dark. As long as you're not dragging it across the basic gray ink, it won't bleed it anywhere. You would go ahead and you would clean your stamp, and then there's all kinds of other parts and pieces that you're going to want to stamp. I'm going to verify that I don't need to share how. I think I will go ahead and do the cabin. And so I'm going to grab I think this is the B block, yes. And I'm going to go ahead on this one just because I'd like to share how I colored it. I'm going to stamp the cabin in early espresso. Oh, we thought we were keeping it on the block. I'm going to stamp it in early espresso. And hopefully it grabs up here. There we go. And I'm going to stamp the cabin. Again, I will clean that here after a little while. And then I'm going to color in on the cabin. I want to use the dark of our Daffodil Delight. We do not have crushed curry in our blends, but we do have Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to use the dark. And it's kind of the same process. You're going to color in, kind of avoiding the cross on the windows. And you're going to do that for all the window panes because I want it to look like the lights are on. And then I want to color in the front door. And so for the front door, I am using our Stampin' Write Real Red marker and the bullet tip. And I'm just going to grab along the edge here to drag in the inset of that color. So I don't want it to be white. I'd like it to be red. I want something that's going to stand out. So then I'm going to fill in after I've done the outline. Like so. And then I will go ahead, I will stamp two trees. There's a larger tree in here. There's the hat, which I'm going to do in Lost Lagoon, a couple presents, and I should show you the presents because I had a different way of how I want to stamp those. So I'm going to grab this present, and I'm only going to do it in Old Olive. So I'm going to grab my Old Olive. This is one of the older pads that I've got, still a current color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the present so that I avoid inking it up in Old Olive on the bow. So I've got it sitting here, and I'm going to use the brush tip of that Stampin' Write Real Red marker, and I'm going to drag it across the top like so. Breathe on it, and then I'm going to stamp it so that you see I've got, pull it up to the camera a little closer so you can see I've got a red bow and a green package. Before I put that marker away, I want to close my pad up, and I'm going to come in with that brush, or that bullet tip again, excuse me, and I'm going to fill in this white space with the red, just like I have for the bow. And that allows me to have a finished present that's got a different colored ribbon on it than it does the package itself. So now I'm going to set that aside because I've already done all of that. So you're going to have all the pieces here, cut and colored. Penguin with the, I did the same thing with his nose and his feet with that pumpkin pie ink. And so I've got all my pieces ready. I would line it all up and run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine so that I have all of these pieces cut out, which again, I've already done. So I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp set out of the way. Don't have any greetings on this one. I suppose that you could. You're also going to want, when we get ready to assemble, the white loose snowflakes. And I believe I did this at 10 inches of the basic white from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. You could also use the white and red twisted Baker's Twine that's in our mini catalog. So, but in the interim here, I'm going to pull out what I've got, all of those pieces cut. And I also cut a snowflake, so I'm just going to kind of set these here so you can see them. I've cut the tree out of those 2 pieces of scrap. Got my snowman, his hat, my penguin, my cabin, the couple presents, and the tree I did in Old Olive. I did a green and real red present and a real red and a Old Olive, and then I've got that tree here, and so, or the cabin here. So I'm going to set these things here. We will need those. Like I have done in a couple other previous videos, I have got those strips of basic white cardstock. These, again, I told you were 1 by 3.5. I'm going to tear it toward me, and when I do and kind of wiggle it up and down, it gives me what looks like snow. At least to me, that's what it looks like. And so I've got my 1, I need 3 of them, thus the 2. You will end up with 4, and so you'll use whichever one you decide. So I'm going to kind of wiggle across, keep 1, set 1 aside. So those are ready for me. And then, remember I told you you've got this 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 of an inch piece of basic white. And we need that for all of the pop out pieces that we are going to use to pop out all these little critters. And so I've got my paper trimmer here. And it's going to just kind of get it where it's not too far in the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and score across. Get it where I want here. Needed at 3/4 of an inch. Get up right here. So I need to score it at 3/4 of an inch. I need to score it at 1.5 inches. So basically, you're figuring out every 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to come to 2 1/4, and then at 3, so that I end up with this whole piece scored across in those 4 different spaces. Then I'm going to put it back in my paper trimmer and turn it around. Make sure I don't lose things here. Put my penguin back over here. I'm going to turn around. I need to cut it so that I've got 3/4 inch pieces. I just found it was easier to kind of score all of it and then split it up in the 3 pieces. And so I'm going to lay it here. If they're not exact, if they're not super straight, it's still going to work. So I'm going to cut, so I've got a 1/4 inch and then I've got a 1/2 inch, and so then I'm going to cut that 1/2 inch down again so that I end up with 3/4 inch pieces. So there we go, and I'll set this out of the way for a moment because we're still going to need it. I'm going to assemble. You need your multi-purpose liquid glue, and you want that edge that looks rough facing you because that's most snow-like. And I'm going to kind of come in, just give a little bit of swirl, and then I'm going to assemble my snowman, or my snow, onto the front of my globe. So I'm going to finish. I've got 2 more to do that with. Oops, I went on that section. I want it on this section. Okay. And line it up over here. I can have a little bit of that base showing because it's going to get covered up. So it's okay to have a little bit. You just don't want too much. So then I'm going to take that 3rd piece and come over here, and I'm going to line it up here at the base again, so that I've got those 3 snow globes with a little bit of snow at the base. Okay, and I'm going to grab out my paper snips, and my paper snips are going to come in, and I'm going to trim up according to the die, the same amount, and make sure it's squared off like they have it on the die. There we go. And you're going to do that on all 3. So I've got 1 here. We'll go ahead and get the other 2. And then the magic is going to start to come together. So I've got 1 more score to do after I assemble. We'll kind of just get those out of the way. Grab here. So if you haven't played with Snowy Wonder yet, Snowy Wonder is a lot of fun. I have been enjoying how much I've been using this particular bundle. And it's a really low cost bundle, which I like as well. So I'm going to come on here, and I want to do is put a strip of glue. And I don't want it too much, but I need enough to hold it. And I'm going to grab one of those bases, and I'm going to line it up. And what's important on this particular project, much like my triple panel card, is that you're making all 3 of these exactly the same. So it doesn't matter so much what they are as long as they're the same. So what I figured was best, since I've got 1 ready, I'm going to lay the next one on top of it. I'm going to put some adhesive from my multi-purpose liquid glue, again along that lower edge. I'm going to grab the next base and I'll line it up like so. Making sure it's the same. And then I'm going to do it 1 more time. So I'm going to lay this here, lay it up on top. Grab my adhesive again. You'll have to let me know, is this a project first that you would make? And then, is it one that you would give away or hang on your tree, or how would you use it? Maybe it's all the above. All right, so I've got those 3 panels sitting here. They're all the same. So that was the big part. I'm going to push this over because before I do anything else, I've got to have that out of the way. I don't want to use my cutting blade, so I'm going to pull that out of the way. I am going to use my scoring blade, which is the lighter of the colors. And I'm going to lift up, and I want to find the halfway mark. So I kind of have an idea. I know that halfway is going to be at about this mark into here, which is what, about 2.5, maybe not quite 2.5. And so, no, that wouldn't be halfway. I think 3.25. So I need to come at 1 5/8. And again, what's most important is that they're the same. So I'm going to lay it down, make sure I'm squared as much as I can figure, and then I'm going to score across the whole thing so that I end up with a score line coming down the middle. And that is going to then get folded. And so I'm going to kind of just push it with my fingers. I don't want it to be flat, I just want it to come in. So then I'm going to do the same thing with the next two. So at 1 5/8, making sure I'm squared up here. Score across, again, kind of push it in with my fingers to get that piece moving. And then one more time, because you've got to do that on all 3 pieces. So then I'm going to pull it here, get at my 1 5/8, and then I'm going to come and score there, and then we can get rid of my paper trimmer. So then you could also use our scoring plate, so our Simply Scoring tool. So I've got those 3 pieces. What I need to do now is then assemble them. And that's why it was so important that they were spaced out the same on all pieces. So I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to have, you know, enough, but not so much it's going to wiggle. And I'm going to, before I get going on stuff, I'm going to come in here and grab some right at the score line. And that is so that I can, before I get going too far, take my twine and lay it on top of that. And that's what's going to create my hanger. So it's important that that comes in earlier than later. So I'm going to lay that on there. And then I can start assembling on top of that with all of my other pieces. I need to line them up. Okay, like so. Okay, so I've got 2 of them. I have my hanger coming into here, and then I'm going to assemble that 3rd one on these other 2 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive. Now it's not going to go flat on this back side. I am still making it a triple. You could probably do more if you could figure out how to get them to lay the way you think you'd like them to. So then I'm going to take this piece. I want to make sure that my front is facing out, and I'm going to line it up at the base. And multi-purpose liquid glue gives you enough time for drying that you can then adjust, so you have a little bit more wiggle, which is what I like about multi-purpose liquid glue. So I've got my triple here. So I've got my 3 pieces. Now I'm ready to make my seams. And this again is where it gets real fun. So you've got these pieces that we had cut out, those 1/4 inch ones. You're going to fold them around till you get a square. And then I'm going to fold it onto itself so that these pieces come together. So I've left my glue out. I'm going to put a little glue here. And then I'm going to attach those ends like so. And we'll do that on all 3, and then we'll start to make our scene to go on the front of each of these snow globes. So I'm going to grab a little bit of glue here. Come here on this end, like so. And I got that last piece. Anytime you're doing pop-ups, you need something that allows that piece to stand out. And because we don't have anything at the base on these, on this snow globe we're doing, you need something for it to set onto. So I'm going to pinch here. So I've got my 3 pieces. Then I'm going to come and I want to grab Mr. Snowman. I'm going to work with him first. Kind of grab some stuff out of the way here. So I'm going to put a hat on him. So I'm going to put a little adhesive on the end. Grab that hat. I'm going to attach it like so. Get him up a little closer to the camera so you can kind of see him there. And then I would like to make it where he's got a package sitting down here. So I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive down here at the base. Grab the base and stick to where it's laying flatter. There we go. Then I can turn him over. That's the only thing I'm sticking on him. I'm going to go ahead and stick one of these down in the back. So he's going to be ready to go. So I'm going to set him aside. Then I'm going to grab the penguin. And the penguin, the only thing I need to do is have him hold a package. And so I'm going to have him hold one over here. Just need a little bit of adhesive there. I'm going to grab a package. And you could make this, they could be all penguins for that matter. Really, it's up to you. So I'm going to set the package there. On the back side, again, I'm going to put one of these. So I'm going to line up a little bit of glue. Don't need a lot. I'm going to grab this piece, line him up like so. So I've got my penguin ready to go. And the last thing I need, I'm going to do one of these, the cabin. I'm going to line just a little bit of adhesive on the side of a tree. And I'm going to line up my cabin to where it's setting next to my tree. So I'm going to set it here, and I might have it come down just a little bit so that tree sets, just makes it a little wider. You wouldn't have to, but I chose to do so. And then I'm going to grab and put again right in kind of the center. I want one of this last piece here to where I've got that setting on here. You're going to sit and hold it for a second. It doesn't take very long for this adhesive to dry, which is great. So like so. So now I've got my 3 parts, and I'm going to kind of set them here where I can see them as I assemble then onto my ornament. So I'm going to grab my snowflake, and where's my, let me get out of the screen here enough to not annoy you. I'm going to grab my adhesive, well, my silicone craft sheet, so that I can add adhesive on the back of my snowflake and it not get sticky all over everything. So just some dots across and a couple in the middle just to hold it down. And then I sometimes will pull out things like my take your pick tool and the putty end, and I'm going to let it kind of be my extra hands. And so I'm going to come over here, And I'm going to attach like so. And because I already have a tree next to that cabin, the next thing is to just attach. And so I'm going to put some adhesive. I'll pull it up so you can see a little closer. Get my cameras to adjust here. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive here. And then when I set it in here, I'm going to line it up so that it's far enough where it looks like it's actually setting on the snow. I don't want it to be too high in the air, so that then you see that I've got my cabin sitting there. And then I've got this next section. And so I'm going to choose to do the, let's do the penguin. So I'm going to take my old olive die cut tree, and I might go pick this one up, okay. I turn it around here, so I'm going to line it up such that it's sitting at the top of my snowbank. That makes sense. Like so. And then I'm going to take the soft seafoam die cut tree, and I'm going to put it in the front. You could pop that up, but I didn't think it needed it. I just want it to be offset. So one's a little bit taller or more forward perhaps than the other one. And again, we'll kind of get it where the camera can adjust. Like so. And then that one I'm going to take my penguin, and so I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue, and again I'm going to come on this side and grab, and I'm going to attach it. So again, making sure he's not floating. I don't want him floating. I can keep him in my hands. To be high enough on this, and so it's on the other side. Yeah, there we go. So like so. So that then my penguin is on this end, on the opposite side of the trees. So I've got one more that I can then do, and that is the snowman. So I'm going to take that taller tree, the second of the two, put some adhesive on the back. I'm going to line it up on top of the snow, like so. And then the last piece is to repeat, putting some adhesive on this piece so that the snowman floats. He's a little taller, so you can go a little different with him. Push it, hold it, there you go. So then we've got our snowman, our cabin, and our penguin. But the last little thing I'd like to add are some of those little loose snowflakes. And you've watched me do that in previous videos with this particular set. You know how much I've used all of that. And so I'm going to come and add just a couple dots of the multi-purpose liquid glue. I want my take your pick tool. I have found it just works best to grab some of these snowflakes, and then they're in different sizes, and I like to kind of vary what size is where. Push that on there, it'll dry pretty quick. I'm going to add one over here and a couple of them on this side. If you wanted 10 on there, you could do that. I don't. Put a bigger one over here. These would make cute, they don't take too long to put together. I think these would make cute little gifts that aren't costly. So I've got a couple there, and then I got to put at least one on Mr. Snowman's side, but we'll see what we get on here. So I think we need to put one over here. We'll put a smaller one on that side. And then maybe over here and over here. So let me pull up from my pile of snowflakes. There we go. Like so. And then, well, we only want one at a time. Put one at the top. And then this big one that popped out. Like so. And that is my cute little ornament. And so then when you get ready to set up your Christmas tree, it will be able to hang and twist around, and you will see these three pieces. I'll kind of hold it closer so that then you've got penguin and the snowman, which I think is so much fun. So step up here. Thanks again for joining me. I hope that if you have questions or comments that you will do so. Let me know what you think of this fun project and how you will use it. And I look forward to joining you again next Thursday at 2 p.m. on my Facebook page, Just a Little Ink. So thanks again. We'll talk soon.